His hand rests at the back of my neck, steady, like he's making sure I don't vanish. A year ago I was invisible. Now 400 strangers in tailored suits are waiting to see what I do next. The chandelier above us throws broken stars over the marble floor, over the mirrored walls, over the faces that never smile with their eyes. The air smells of expensive perfume and gun oil, both fighting for space between violins and low conversations. I stand in a black silk dress that isn't mine, my spine too straight, my breath too shallow. His thumb draws a slow line along the side of my throat and my pulse jumps under his skin. He feels it, of course he does. "Don't look down," he murmurs, voice rough velvet against my ear. "They smell fear faster than blood." I force my eyes up. In the glass I see us together, him in a perfectly cut black suit, hair falling to his shoulders, beard framing a mouth everyone here is afraid of. Tattoos crawl from his knuckles up under his cuff, dark ink against gold light. His name is Rafael Costa, and if you say it loudly enough in this city, somebody dies before morning. I learned that too late. I swallow. You dragged me into the center of the room, and now I'm not allowed to look down. That's not how panic works, Rafael. For a second, just a second, the corner of his mouth twitches. Not a smile, something smaller, something human. Then it's gone, buried under the cold mask he wears for the world. "You're not here to panic," he says. "You're here to breathe and pretend you belong. Can you do that for me, cariño?" For him, the way he says it makes my chest tighten with anger and something I don't want to name. I used to belong behind a café counter, counting coins, saving for a night class in accounting. I used to go home to a tiny apartment where the loudest sound was my neighbor's TV. I didn't know back then that my father's old secrets, the numbers he kept in his head, were worth more than all the lives in this room. "You didn't tell me there'd be this many people," I whisper, eyes flicking over the crowd. Men in tuxedos, women in dresses like liquid metal, rings heavy enough to kill with. Every second face looks vaguely familiar, like the news channels forgot to mention how close they really are. "That's the point," Rafael replies. "They all need to see you." "Why?" His fingers tighten almost imperceptibly at my neck. "Because they think you're my weakness." On the other side of the ballroom, a man with silver hair and a shark smile raises his glass toward us. Victor Leone. I recognize him from the photos Rafael threw on my table the night my old life ended. Extortion, drug routes, 20 bodies in 6 months. The police say allegedly on camera. Off camera, nobody says anything. Victor's gaze drops to my bare shoulders, then slides back up, slow and deliberate, like he's imagining how it would feel to peel the silk from my skin. My stomach knots. I take an involuntary step closer to Rafael. His palm spreads wider across my neck, a silent claim. I can feel the tension in him, coiled and ready. To everyone else, he looks lazy, almost bored. I know better now. The first time I saw him move, 3 men were on the floor before I'd finished screaming. "Remember," he says under his breath, "you stand next to me, you breathe with me, and no one touches you." Is that a promise, I ask, or a threat? A low sound vibrates in his chest. Both. The string quartet falls silent. Conversations break like glass, shards of unfinished sentences hanging in the air. A man with a microphone steps onto the small stage, smiling too much, sweating through his expensive shirt. He announces Rafael's name with the soft fear of someone who knows he's pronouncing a sacred curse. Heads turn, chairs scrape. The crowd parts as Rafael guides me forward, his hand never leaving my skin. My heels tap against the marble, too loud in my own ears. Every step feels like I'm walking deeper into someone else's movie. "These people," Rafael says quietly, "only respect what they can't break. Tonight they need to understand something." "What?" He glances down at me, eyes dark as storm water. "That I will burn this city to the ground for the only person in it I owe anything to." My throat closes. "I didn't ask you to owe me." "You didn't have to," he answers. "Your father did." The mention of my father hits like a punch. For a moment the ballroom flickers, replaced by the image of a cramped kitchen, cheap tiles, his laugh, his black notebook with all the numbers he never explained. Then the memory shifts to flashing sirens, a body under a white sheet, and the police officer who wouldn't meet my eyes when he said, "Wrong place, wrong time." Rafael had laughed at that. "There's no such thing as wrong place, wrong time in our world," he told me later when I finally saw the blood on his own hands. "There is only debt." We reach the center of the room. The host offers Rafael the microphone with a trembling hand. Rafael ignores it. He has never needed help to command a room. "Tonight," he says, voice carrying effortlessly, "we celebrate the end of an old war." A polite ripple of applause moves through the crowd. My heart thuds too loud. My fingers itch to clutch at his sleeve, but I keep them at my sides. He asked me to pretend I belong. I only wish I knew what role I'm playing. Victor steps closer from the edge of the crowd, smiling that shark smile. And the beginning of a new era, Costa, he says, one where you're finally reasonable. The word hangs between them like a knife. Rafael's jaw flexes. Reasonable has never kept any of us alive, Victor. That's true, Victor says lightly, eyes sliding to me again. But love has killed plenty of men. Is this your fiancée then? The girl from the café, brave, bringing her here, pretty little thing like that. Accidents happen. A murmur moves through the room. The floor seems to tilt beneath me. I never told him I'd met Rafael in that café, not really. I never told anyone, actually. How many eyes have been on me, counting the places I go, the people I talk to. Rafael's grip on my neck tightens, but his face doesn't change. He's a statue carved out of something dangerous. Careful, Victor, he says, voice soft. Some accidents look a lot like declarations of war. I feel the heat in his words, not anger, something fiercer, older, a promise and a warning in the same breath. Victor laughs, but it's too sharp. You, going to war for a waitress. I'm not a waitress, I hear myself say before my brain can stop my mouth. I'm an accountant. Silence crashes over the room. My cheeks burn. I feel stupid, small, out of place. Then Rafael's chest rumbles with a quiet sound that might almost be approval. An accountant, Victor repeats, tasting the word. Ah, like your father. He kept excellent books, I remember, until he slipped. The word is gentle, the meaning is not. My vision blurs for a second. Slipped. That's what happens when you push someone off a roof and the police write fall on the report. My nails dig into my palms. I bite the inside of my cheek to keep from speaking again, because if I do, I will scream. I will tell them all what they are, what they've taken, what they'll never give back, and then I'll die. Rafael feels the tremor that runs through me. His next words are for the room, but they land square on my shoulders. Respect the dead, Victor, he says, each syllable slow, and respect what belongs to me. Belongs to me, the phrase slams into the floor between us, heavy and final. The crowd rustles, 100 calculations shifting. Some eyes turn colder, others turn curious. A woman in a silver dress smirks behind her champagne flute. Somewhere ice clinks against glass like the ticking of a bomb. Rafael leans down, his lips almost against my ear. His breath is warm. His voice is a whisper only I hear. You're sleeping beside me tonight. I jerk, startled, half turning to look at him. What? He doesn't repeat himself. Instead, he straightens, slides his hand from the back of my neck to my jaw, tilting my face up. His thumb brushes the corner of my mouth, gentle, almost reverent. For a heartbeat, everything blurs, the mirrors, the chandeliers, the dangerous men. There is only him and the storm in his eyes. Rafael, I whisper, panic rising. What are you? He kisses me. The room inhales as one. The music has long since stopped, but the silence has its own rhythm, sharp, stunned, electric. His mouth is firm and warm and impossibly careful, as if I'm made of something that can break. His fingers cradle the back of my head, shielding me instinctively from a threat that hasn't yet moved. For a moment, against all sense, I forget where we are. I forget who he is. There is only the strange, aching safety of his hands and the taste of a life I'll never have, one where kisses happen in the dark, not under chandeliers and loaded guns. He pulls back slowly, just enough to look into my eyes. His gaze is searching, almost afraid, not of them, of me, of what I might see if I look too closely. Then his voice drops, low and urgent, threaded with something I've never heard from him before. Listen to me, he murmurs, still holding my face so no one sees his lips move. Don't flinch, don't look at the balcony. Someone up there has a rifle pointed at your heart. My blood turns to ice. The crowd around us explodes in applause, mistaking the kiss for a show, for a declaration of love, for anything but what it really is, a shield. I keep my eyes locked on his, because suddenly they're the only safe place left in the room. Smile, Rafael says softly, the corners of his own mouth lifting just enough. And remember what I told you, Lucía. Tonight you're sleeping beside me because it's the only way I can keep you alive. The clapping grows louder, roaring in my ears as somewhere above us, in the glittering dark of the balcony, a finger curls tighter around a trigger. The applause crashes over us, so loud I almost miss the next thing he says. Left, Rafael murmurs, his lips still close to mine. Now. His hand on my back tightens and he guides me into a slow step, then another, as if we're just two lovers beginning a dance. The string quartet, like well-trained soldiers, picks up some soft waltz from nowhere. The crowd shifts politely to give us space. No one sees how his fingers dig into my waist, anchoring me in place. I paste a smile onto my face that feels like it belongs to another woman. Rafael, I whisper, barely moving my lips, there's really someone. Yes, his voice is calm, too calm, but they won't shoot if I keep you moving and they can't get a clean line. So you're going to dance with me, Lucía, you're going to breathe, you're going to trust me for the next 5 minutes. I don't trust anyone who brings me to a party and forgets to mention the sniper, I hiss. His eyes flicker with something like regret. It's gone so fast I could have imagined it. If I'd told you, he says, turning us again, putting his broad shoulders between me and the balcony, you would have stayed home. And then Victor would have sent someone to your building instead, and there I can't protect you. My heel almost slips on the marble. His arm tightens, steadying me. From the outside we must look perfect, 2 black figures turning under the chandelier, his hand at the small of my back, my dress like spilled ink. On the inside I'm shaking so hard I'm sure he can feel it. You call this protection, I whisper, you're using me as bait. His jaw clenches, a muscle jumps near his temple. I'm using their grade, he says. They think I would never risk you in public, they think you're hidden, tonight they see you, they move, and when they move, his gaze slides past my shoulder almost lazy. We cut off the hand that reaches. I follow his line of sight for half a second, just enough to see movement in the crowd. 3 of his men in dark suits, almost identical, peeling away from the guests. One heads for the left staircase, another for the service corridor, the third vanishes through a side door that leads, I know now, to the upper levels. Chess pieces, me as the king's queen, or maybe just a very shiny pawn. Your father told me you were clever, Rafael murmurs, pulling me closer as we spin. His breath brushes my cheek. Start acting like it, don't look scared, don't look up, don't give them the satisfaction of watching you break. The mention of my father sends a sharp pain through my chest. I swallow hard. You talk like you knew him, really knew him. I did. How long? My voice is paper thin. How long, Rafael? 10 years, he says, maybe more. 10 years, my father used to come home late, smelling unlike the café where he washed dishes for cash. Some nights he'd sit at the table with that black notebook, writing numbers in tiny, perfect lines. When I asked, he said, extra work, Mija, for your future. I never pushed. You never told me, I say. You never ask the right questions. Anger flares hot enough to burn through the fear. I was busy burying him. His hand on my back softens just a fraction. I was busy making sure you didn't join him. The music swells, covering the tightness in his voice. We turn again. I catch a glimpse of the balcony in the mirror, a dark shape half hidden behind a pillar, too still to be a waiter. My stomach lurches. I look back at Rafael so fast my neck protests. I saw them, I whisper, on the left. I know, his eyes never leave mine. They've been there since we walked in. I blink stunned, and you still. Yes, his tone leaves no space for argument. If they'd tried anything before I had my men in place, it would have been chaos, too many bodies between us and the exit. Here, he tilts his head just enough to brush his cheek against my temple. To anyone watching it looks like affection. Here, I can control the field. Control, power, words that taste like ice in my mouth. Why are they aiming at me? I ask, my voice cracking on the last word. I'm nobody. You're not nobody, his eyes darken, not to me, not to them. My throat tightens, because of my father. Yes. What did he do, Rafael? I demand, the question tearing out of me. What did he do for you that makes you drag me into this nightmare and call it protection? The corner of his mouth lifts, but there's no humor in it. He lied. About what? About you. The floor seems to tilt again. I open my mouth, but his fingers press lightly into my spine, a warning. Not now, he says, not here. I want to scream. Instead, I smile wider because he's right. Dozens of eyes are on us. Victor S. among them, cold and amused, a predator watching another predator dance with his prey. Twirl, Rafael says softly. What? He steps back, guiding my hand, spinning me once under his arm. For a second my line of sight swings up toward the balcony. A cold red dot flashes across my chest, small, obscene, right over my heart. I don't even have time to be afraid. Rafael yanks me back against him, turning so fast the room blurs. My back hits his chest, one of his arms banded across my waist, the other up near my shoulder, as if he's just pulled me into some dramatic romantic move. The muffled crack of a suppressed shot barely makes it over the music. A shard of mirror explodes 3 meters behind us, raining glittering glass onto the polished floor. Gasps ripple through the crowd, someone screams. The musicians stumble to a halt. For half a heartbeat there is perfect silence. Then chaos. People surge back, chairs tipping, drinks spilling. Rafael doesn't flinch, his mouth is by my ear. "Don't look," he says, "stay with me." He moves us through the panic as if this was the plan all along, his body still shielding mine. One of his men appears at his elbow, broad-shouldered, buzz-cut, eyes already scanning. "Top balcony," Rafael says without looking. "Left pillar, take him alive if you can, if you can't," his jaw tightens. "Make it hurt." The man nods once and vanishes into the crowd. Another bodyguard, taller, dark-eyed, pushes a path through the mess, flashing some badge I know doesn't belong to any normal security company. He shouts something about a lighting malfunction, his voice riding over the questions thrown from all sides. Victor's laughter cuts through the noise. "Costa, if you wanted fireworks you could have just asked." Rafael ignores him. "We're leaving," he murmurs. "What about?" "Everyone here saw me put my body between you and a bullet," he says. "Tonight that's enough. Tomorrow the rumors will work for us." "Rumors don't stop guns." "They stop some hands from pulling triggers," he answers. "And if they don't," he looks down at me, "then I do." He guides me toward a side door, his steps sure and unhurried, as if nothing extraordinary just happened. As if there isn't a broken mirror behind us and a shooter above us who may or may not still be breathing. We slip through a velvet curtain into a narrow service corridor. The noise of the ballroom drops away suddenly, like someone shut a door on the ocean. Here the lights are harsh and white, the walls plain. I suck in a breath for the first time in what feels like hours. Rafael shrugs out of his jacket and drapes it over my shoulders in the same motion that he pulls a phone from his pocket. "You're shaking," he says, not looking at me as his fingers fly across the screen. "You noticed?" My voice is thin with shock. Must be all the romance in the air. He exhales sharply through his nose, not quite a laugh, not quite a sigh. On the phone he switches languages low and fast. I catch fragments. "Hotel cameras, street exits, no gunfire outside, not here," I said, "alive if possible." I want to look in his eyes. The words are cold, ruthless. A moment ago those same hands were holding my face like something fragile. "Rafael," I say, "what are you going to do to him?" "Depends who sent him. And if it was Victor." He finally looks up. Then I remind Victor who built this city and who's just renting space in it. The calm way he says it scares me more than if he'd shouted. A guard appears at the end of the corridor. "Elevators clear, boss." "Good." Rafael pockets his phone, then glances at me. "You can breathe now." "Can I?" I hug his jacket tighter around myself. It's warm, smells faintly of his cologne and gunpowder and something like cedar. "You said the rifle was pointed at my heart." "It was." "Then who put it there?" My voice rises. "Why am I suddenly worth killing?" He studies me, eyes searching my face, as if he's trying to decide how much truth I can carry. "In the elevator," he says, "I'll tell you there." I follow him, probably because I don't know where else to go. The bodyguard stays a step ahead, another a step behind, a living cage made of muscle and tailored suits. When the doors of the private elevator slide open, we step inside. One guard joins us, the other stays in the hall. The doors close with a soft hiss. For the first time since the shot, we are in a small, quiet box of metal and glass, away from eyes. Rafael presses a code into the panel. The elevator hums to life. "Talk," I say. He leans back against the mirrored wall, crossing his arms, studying me. In this light he looks tired. Lines bracket his mouth I hadn't seen before. "You keep saying you're nobody," he begins. "You're not, your father made sure of that. You still haven't told me what he did." Rafael's gaze drops to the faint tremor in my hands, then returns to my face. "You remember the men who came to your apartment after the funeral?" I blink. "The ones in suits?" They said they were from the insurance company. They just asked if he had a safe deposit box. They were Victor's men, he says quietly. 2 days before your father died, he took something from Victor, something big, something that could ruin him if it ended up in the wrong hands. What something? If I knew, Rafael says, I wouldn't be in this elevator with you. I'd be on a beach somewhere, drinking bad tequila and making better mistakes. The attempt at humor doesn't land. My pulse is thudding again. What does this have to do with me? Your father hid it. His eyes don't leave mine. And the last place Victor saw him go was home, your home. My mouth goes dry. Old memories rearrange themselves in my head, forming new shapes. My father coming in late, double locking the door. The way he hugged me that last week, longer, tighter. The envelope he slipped under my mattress and told me not to open until the right person asks you the right question. I never found that envelope after he died. You're saying Victor thinks I know where it is, I whisper. Victor doesn't think, Rafael replies. He suspects, and in our world suspicion is enough to put a bullet through someone's heart. The elevator hums around us. My reflection in the mirror looks pale and wide-eyed, swallowed in Rafael's jacket. Next to me he is all dark lines and controlled power. And you, I ask, do you think I know? He considers me for a long moment. I think you're not lying well enough for a girl who grew up in this city. I'm not lying at all. That's what scares me. The doors slide open with a soft chime. A private corridor stretches ahead, quieter, carpeted, lit with warm lamps instead of chandeliers. At the end of it, double doors of dark wood. I realize we're not going back to the ballroom, we're going up. Where are we? I ask. My floor, he says. You're not going back to your apartment tonight. I'm not what? No, I shake my head, stepping back into the elevator. You can't just decide where I sleep. His hand comes up, palm open, not touching me but stopping me all the same. Lucía, they already know what you look like. They know you're with me. You walk out of this building alone and you won't make it to the end of the street. And staying with you is safer. My laugh is brittle. You just used me as bait in front of half the city. His eyes flash. I put myself between you and a sniper. Don't confuse strategy with cruelty. Silence falls between us, thick and heavy. In it I hear my own breathing, quick and shallow. I don't want your world, I say quietly. He looks at me for a long second, something raw flickering in his gaze. Neither did I once. He turns and walks down the corridor. After a beat, my feet move to follow. At his door he pauses, fingers on the handle. You asked me what your father did for me, he says without looking back. Why I owe him. I remember. He kept 2 ledgers, Rafael says. One for Victor, one for me. When Victor wanted to know who was skimming from his shipments, your father gave him a list. He glances over his shoulder, eyes darker than I've ever seen them. He left my name off it. It saved my life, it cost him his. The words hit so hard I reach for the wall. He lied to protect you, I say slowly. Rafael nods once, and then the night before he died he found me. He said if anything ever happened to him I was to find you, keep you alive, no matter what it cost. My throat burns. You were there that night. I was too late. His voice is flat now, stripped of all its polish. By the time I arrived, he was already on the pavement. The image rushes in uninvited, my father still small under the white sheet, the way the officer said fall like it meant nothing. I couldn't save him, Rafael continues, but I can keep my promise. The door between us and the rest of the world clicks open. A huge, shadowed room waits beyond, soft lights, glass walls, the outline of a massive bed against the far side. I hesitate on the threshold. Why me? I whisper. He barely talked about you, he never told me your name. Why was I worth dying for? Rafael looks at me like he's weighing another secret in his mouth, choosing whether to let it out. Because, he says finally, voice low and rough, your father didn't die for me, Lucía. He steps aside, leaving the doorway open, the dark room yawning like a question. He died because of you. He doesn't look away when he says it. He died because of you. For a second the hallway tilts, the soft lamps, the thick carpet, the dark door to his room, everything blurs at the edges. I grip the frame just to stay upright. Because of me, my voice sounds small, wrong. Say that again, I swear I'll. You'll what? Rafael's tone is quiet, not cruel. Shoot me with a look, hate me more than you already do. I'll walk out, my throat burns. I'll take my chances with Victor and your stupid war and your snipers and you'll be dead before the elevator reaches the lobby. He steps closer, slow, careful, like I'm some wild thing he doesn't want to startle. Come inside, Lucía. If you're going to hate me, at least do it sitting down. The words shouldn't calm me, but somehow they do. Maybe it's the steadiness in his eyes. Maybe it's the quiet tiredness underneath the steel. I step past him into the room. It's larger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows show the city like a bowl of spilled stars. One side of the space is all glass and shadows. The other is warm wood, shelves of books, a heavy desk drowning in paper. The huge bed against the far wall is unmade, as if he never expected anyone else to see it. For the first time, Rafael Costa looks human. Rich, dangerous, yes, but also strangely alone. He closes the door behind us with a soft click. Sit, he says, nodding toward a leather chair near the windows. I'm not a dog, I snap, but my knees shake, so I sit anyway. He shrugs out of his vest, lays it over the back of the other chair, then unbuttons his sleeves, rolling them up. The tattoos crawl higher up his forearms, roses, skulls, Roman numerals. I wonder which ones are dates, which ones are grave. I didn't mean he died because you did something wrong, he says at last, leaning against the desk. I meant he died because of how much he loved you. That's not better. It's the truth. I stare at him, explain. He studies me for a second, then nods, as if making a private decision. Your father worked for Victor long before he worked for me, Rafael begins. Back when this city was still pretending it wasn't owned by men like us. He kept the books clean, made the money look legitimate. No one ever questioned Victor's numbers because your father's math was perfect. I know he did accounting, I say. He told me it was just paperwork. He lied, Rafael's mouth twists. He lied a lot, mostly to protect you. My hands clench in the fabric of his jacket around my shoulders. So where do you come in? Victor and I used to be on the same side, he says. Two young idiots trying to carve their initials into a city that didn't ask for them. Your father kept both our accounts separated. Victor S. on one side of his ledger, mine on the other, no overlaps, no questions. But then I push. Then Victor started crossing lines even men like me don't cross. He looks out at the city lights. Kids on corners, families as leverage, neighborhoods burned to move property prices. Your father saw the numbers changing, saw where the money was going. He didn't like what he saw. My chest tightens. I remember him coming home late, eyes darker, rubbing his temples like the numbers hurt. He came to me, Rafael continues. Quiet, middle of the night, same jacket he always wore. He said, Costa, if I give you names, real names, can you keep my girl out of this? My breath catches. He talked about me. Every third sentence, Rafael says quietly. Lucía this, Lucía that, your exam scores, your stupid crush on the boy who ordered extra sugar in his coffee. He was proud of you in a way I don't think he understood himself. My throat burns, so he gave you names. He gave me Victor's real ledger, Rafael corrects. Every judge he paid, every cop, every fake company, enough to blow his operation into dust, but there was a price. What price? He wanted out for you, Rafael's jaw tightens. He said, you take this, you cut Victor off at the knees, but you keep my name out of your war. You never let him know I gave it to you. And if anything happens to me, you protect my daughter like she's blood. I blink back sudden tears, so you agreed. Of course I agreed. Then why is he dead? The words come out sharp, cracked. If you had all this power, all this information, why couldn't you save him? Rafael's eyes darken. Because power isn't magic, Lucía, it's just choices, and sometimes you don't have any good ones. He pushes off the desk, pacing once to the window and back. Victor found out someone betrayed him, he says. He didn't know who. He started cutting pieces off his own organization one by one, trying to find the rot. Every week another one of his men disappeared. Your father called me. He was scared. For the first time since I'd known him, he was really scared. My hands are ice that night. Rafael nods. He said Victor's men were asking about you, where you studied, where you lived, if you were good with numbers too. That was the line for him. The moment he realized they'd never stop with him, they'd come for you. I swallow, so he ran. He made a second copy of the ledger, Rafael says, condensed, every transaction, every offshore account, every shipment, all boiled down into a pattern only he understood. The thing he stole, I whisper. Yes, not money, not drugs, the truth. Rafael's mouth is a grim line. Victor thought he was just hiding numbers, but your father had something else in mind. What? You, Rafael's gaze pins me. He told me, if they kill me, they'll assume I hid everything in my head. They'll never imagine I taught my daughter to see numbers the way I do. The room goes very still. No, I say, no, I think. Rafael cuts in, voice low but firm. When you were a kid, how did he teach you maths? We played games, I say automatically. He'd read receipts out loud, make me add them in my head, turn them into dates or stations or... I stop. The air in my lungs feels too thick. Say it, Rafael urges softly. He used to say every number is a place or a person, you just have to remember what face it wears. My voice is barely sound. Memories slam into me, bus rides where he made me recite long strings of numbers, evenings where we counted crates on TV documentaries for fun, crossword puzzles he turned into equations. He didn't just make you good at math, Rafael says. He trained you to think like an accountant in a war, to see patterns, to hide them. My stomach flips. You're saying he put Victor's secrets in my head. Enough of them, Rafael replies. Enough to reconstruct the ledger if you had to. I shake my head, a sharp, desperate motion. I don't remember any ledger. You remember games, routes, dates. He leans in, eyes searching mine. Did he ever make you repeat the same game over and over? Yes, but... Good, that means the path is there. He died because he refused to give Victor what was in his head. He died betting you would live long enough to decide what to do with it. The guilt hits like a wave I can't dodge. So he died, I whisper, because he believed in me. Rafael's expression softens, the hardness in his face cracking for the first time. He died because he loved you more than he feared Victor. That's not a burden, Lucía, it's an inheritance. I laugh shakily. Some people inherit houses. I get a target painted on my chest. His phone vibrates on the desk, loud in the quiet room. He checks the screen, jaw tightening. They got the shooter, he says. My heart jumps. Is he alive for now? Rafael answers the call, switching to speaker. A man's voice comes through, rough, breathing hard. We pulled him out of the ceiling duct, boss. Ex-military, fake ID, said if we didn't kill him quick, Victor would do worse. Name, Rafael asks. Doesn't matter, the voice on the phone mutters, then gives one anyway. He only had one message, Costa. What message? Rafael's eyes flick to mine. He said, if the girl won't talk, we'll take her tongue. If Costa hides her, we'll burn the whole city until she runs out of places to sleep. A beat. He also said you're already bleeding men on the eastern docks. Rafael's fingers curl slowly on the desk. Strip him of anything useful, then turn him over to the police with just enough evidence he can't walk away. Make sure word spreads that Victor abandons his own when they fail. Yes, boss. The call ends. Rafael sets the phone down with deliberate care. You see, he says quietly, they're not just after me anymore, they're after you and they won't stop. My mind races. Victor wants the ledger in my head. Rafael wants to use it to destroy Victor. I just want my father back, which is the one thing nobody can give me. What are you going to do with the shooter? I ask, stalling. Nothing more, he says. I'm not Victor. Fear is a tool, not a religion. I study him. You could have had him killed. I still might, Rafael says honestly, but not tonight, not out of anger. Anger makes you stupid. So what now? I ask. You lock me in this golden cage while you go play God with my father's numbers. He shakes his head. I send you out of the country, new name, new passport, someplace quiet with bad coffee and no mafias. You forget all of this, you live. And Victor keeps killing people, I say, and my father died for nothing. The words hang between us, true, ugly, heavy. Rafael's eyes darken. Your father didn't die so you could join this world. He died trying to keep you out of it. Maybe, I say, my voice steadier than I feel, he died so I'd have a choice he never had. He studies me, something like reluctant respect in his gaze. You're not equipped for this, he says. You're 24, you make latte art, you cry at insurance commercials. I understand numbers, I cut in. Better than most of the men at your table tonight, better than you probably. His eyebrows lift, a flash of amusement in the storm. Probably. Definitely, I say, heat flaring in my chest. I saw your balance sheets at the café when your guy left them on the counter. They were a mess. His lips twitch despite himself. You remember that? I remember everything, I say. That's the problem, isn't it? He goes quiet. The city hums below us, lights blinking like distant signals. Somewhere out there, Victor is moving his pieces, planning the next angle, the next threat. My father's ghost stands between us, holding a ledger only I can see. What if we don't run? I say slowly. What if we end it? Another man would laugh. Rafael doesn't. Tell me what you're thinking, he says. I think Victor believes numbers keep him safe, I say. Judges, cops, politicians, all bought and paid for. He's built a wall of people who owe him. But if we pull the right stone out of that wall, the whole thing collapses, Rafael finishes. Exactly, you said you already have one copy of his ledger. Half, he nods toward a locked drawer. What your father gave me that night. Names, accounts, transfers, but some of it's coded. I never had the key. A chill runs down my spine, and you think I might be the key. I think your father trusted you more than anyone, Rafael says, including me. Silence again. He walks to the desk, unlocks the drawer with a small silver key on a chain around his neck, and pulls out a worn black notebook. My breath catches. It's identical to the one my father kept in our kitchen. Same size, same cheap cover, same habit of wrapping an elastic band twice around it. He lays it gently on the table between us. Help me read it, he says. I hesitate. If I touch this, there's no going back. I'm not just a girl from a cafe anymore. I become a weapon, a ledger with a heartbeat. My father's voice rises in my memory. Mija, someday you'll understand. Numbers are only as dangerous as the people who hold them. I reach out and open the notebook. Columns of numbers stare back at me, ink neat and pitiless. Dates, amounts, account codes. At first they're just symbols. Then, like a lens snapping into focus, the pattern appears. A series of repeating sequences. 147258. Amounts that always end in 3. Shipment dates always on Mondays and Thursdays. My heart races. He used the same system with me, I murmur. The games, the bus stops. He made the street names line up with the codes. I thought he was just bored. What does it mean? Rafael's voice is low, careful, like we're standing at the edge of something deep. I flip a page, tracing the lines with my finger. This column here, this isn't money. It looks like transfers, but the pattern is wrong. It's people. Rafael moves closer, shoulder almost brushing mine. People. Every third line connects to the same 3 names. I tap numbers. Different shells, different banks, but all linked. See, whenever this account shows up, 2 days later there's a cash withdrawal in cash from a bank near the Eastern Docks. His eyes narrow. The Eastern Docks are Victor's. Not just his, I say slowly. He's paying someone else from those accounts, someone high enough that he needs this many layers between them. Who? Rafael asks. I find the recurring code, 0911. My stomach drops. 0911, I whisper. He used dates we recognize. September 11th. He always said bad men hide behind big tragedies. No one looks too closely at the numbers that day. Rafael's expression changes. Something cold slides into place. You know who it is? I ask. Yes, his jaw clenches. Victor's insurance policy. The man who's kept him out of prison all these years. Who? The district attorney. The realization hits like another shot. If we leak this, I say, it doesn't just take down Victor, it takes down half the system that protects him. Or it gets us killed faster, Rafael replies. Those men will do anything not to fall with him. So we don't leak it to them, I say, we leak it past them. His gaze sharpens. Explain. We package it, I say, the accountant in me waking up fully for the first time. Clean charts, clean trails. You have people in the press, right, in other countries, people who hate him more than they fear him. I have debts owed, Rafael says slowly. Good, use them. You send these names, these accounts, everywhere at once. No time for anyone to bury it, no time to negotiate. By the time Victor realizes what happened, the DA is already scrambling to save himself. He won't have time to protect Victor. He'll be busy cutting his own deals. Rafael watches me, something alive and dangerous flickering behind his eyes. You've thought like this before. No, I say honestly, but I've watched rich men steal from poor people my whole life and call it fees and interest. I know how money moves when someone's hiding something. A faint, astonished smile touches his mouth, not the cruel curve I've seen at the club, something smaller, real. You're your father's daughter, he murmurs. Is that a compliment, I ask. It's the highest one I have. The phone on his desk buzzes again. He answers, eyes never leaving mine. Talk. Boss, the voice on the other end says, we've got a problem. Victor just hit warehouse 3. 2 of our guys down. They tagged the walls with your name and a message. What message? Rafael asks. Give us the girl or the city burns. Static hums for a heartbeat. Pull everyone back, Rafael says. Secure the civilians around our locations. No one moves without my word. What about you? I'm going to end this, he says, hanging up. He turns to me, jaw set. We don't have weeks to play with ledgers. He's escalating now, tonight. Then we move tonight, I say. No, his answer is instant. You've done enough. I'll handle Victor. You stay here. My men will take you out of the country at dawn. Absolutely not. His eyes flash. This isn't a debate. Yes, it is. I stand, the chair legs scraping softly against the floor. My heart hammers, but I don't back down. Victor's threat is about me. My father's death is about me. This ledger is about me. I am done sitting behind glass while men decide what my life is worth. You step into my war, he says low. You don't step out again. Maybe not, but if you go alone, you fight him his way, with fear and guns and more bodies. If I go, we fight him my way too, with the one thing he actually cares about. I tap the notebook. These. Rafael stares at me, chest rising and falling. You're shaking, he says quietly. I'm terrified, I admit, but so was my father, and he still made a choice. Something like pride and something like pain flickers across his face. He walks to a cabinet, pulls out a slim, black bulletproof vest. Put this on, he says. You're agreeing, I ask, startled. I told your father I'd protect you, he says, tossing me the vest. I didn't promise I'd lock you in a tower. I catch it clumsily. The weight is shocking in my hands. How romantic, I mutter. First he kisses me in front of half the city, then he gives me armor. Don't flirt with me when I'm trying to be responsible, he says dryly. Then, after a beat softer, and don't die in my vest, I only have 2. Despite everything, the fear, the grief, I almost laugh. We move quickly after that. In minutes I'm in the vest under my dress, hair twisted up, Rafael's jacket back on my shoulders. Rafael straps a holster at his side, checks his gun, another at his ankle. He moves with the efficiency of someone who's been preparing for this kind of night his whole life. In the elevator down to the parking level, he speaks without looking at me. You stay behind me, he says. You don't run, you don't argue, you don't try to be a hero. I'm not a hero, I say. I'm an accountant. Same thing tonight, he mutters. We slide into the back of a black car. 2 SUVs roll ahead, 2 behind. The city outside the windows is darker than usual, like it's holding its breath. Where are we meeting him, I ask. The river warehouses, Rafael says, where your father and I used to count crates and pretend the world was simple. As we drive, I clutch the notebook to my chest, flipping pages in the dim light, tying numbers to places in my mind. I see routes, weak spots, betrayals. I see how Victor has been siphoning money from his own men for years. And I see something else buried deep. A column of numbers that corresponds not to banks or docks, but to coordinates. Stop the car, I say suddenly. Rafael frowns. What? Stop the car. He taps the divider. Pull over. We roll to a halt under a dead streetlight. For a moment, everything is still. Here, I say, pointing to the page, this sequence, it always appears next to shipments labeled as scrap metal. Same amounts, same days, always going to the same unnamed client. And he prompts, and the numbers match these. I dig into my memory, into bus rides and stupid games. He used to have me recite them as our secret code whenever we crossed the old bridge. 41 steps between the lampposts, 3 seconds between lights. He said, remember this, Mija, someday it might save you. Coordinates, Rafael breathes. For what? For something he didn't want anyone else to find. My pulse jumps. Whatever it is, it's at the river, at warehouse 5, not 3. He stares at me, then barks an order to the driver. Change of plan, we're going to 5, now tell the others. As the convoy surges forward again, a strange calm settles over me. The fear is still there, but it has shape now, numbers, roots, a purpose. 15 minutes later, we roll into an industrial wasteland of rusted metal and dark water. The air smells of oil and river rot. Our headlights sweep over stacked containers, graffiti, shadows. Warehouse 5 looms ahead, a hulking rectangle of corrugated metal and broken windows. A single row of lights burns inside. "He's here," Rafael says. "How do you know?" I whisper. "Because he wants me to know," he replies. "Men like Victor don't hide at moments like this, they perform." We step out of the car. Rafael's men fan around us, weapons low but ready. My breath ghosts in the cold air as we walk toward the open warehouse door. Inside, the space is cavernous. Crates line the walls. In the center, under a hanging lamp, stands Victor Leone. He looks almost casual in his tailored coat, hands in his pockets, silver hair perfectly in place. Behind him, half a dozen men with guns. Above, catwalks crisscross the ceiling, shadows moving. And at Victor's feet, bound to a chair, beaten but upright, one of Rafael's lieutenants, the tall guard from earlier. My stomach drops. "You brought a date," Victor calls, voice echoing. "How thoughtful, I was worried you'd keep hiding her." Rafael takes a step forward, putting himself between Victor and me. "You're losing your touch," he says. "A sniper who misses, a warehouse with only one hostage, I expected more." "Oh, there's more," Victor says smoothly. His gaze slides to me. "Come closer, Nina, let me see what all this fuss is about." I don't move. "Lucía," Rafael murmurs, "stay behind me." I ignore him, my heart is pounding, knees weak, but I step to the side just enough that Victor can see me clearly. I want him to look, to underestimate me. His smile widens, pretty, brave, stupid, just like your father. My hands curl into fists. "You knew him." "I killed him," Victor says, almost lazily. "It's hard to forget a man you throw off a roof." The world narrows, noise drops away. All I hear is my pulse roaring in my ears. Rafael tenses like he's about to leap forward, but I put a hand on his arm. Surprised, he glances at me. "Don't," I whisper, "not yet." Victor laughs. "Listen to her, Costa. She has better instincts than you for now." "You broke your own rules," Rafael says, voice calm but shaking at the edges. "We don't touch family, we don't touch kids." "I didn't touch her," Victor replies. "I touched the man who betrayed me for her, big difference." "You touch her," Rafael says, "you don't get a chance to regret it." Victor's eyes gleam, bold words for a man with leaking warehouses and a city slipping through his fingers. He nods to the lieutenant at his feet. "You see, some of your boys have doubts, Costa. They don't like that you go soft for waitresses. They don't like that you talk about rules. So they come to me, they tell me things." The man in the chair looks up, blood on his mouth, shame in his eyes. Rafael's jaw clenches once. "You sold me out for him?" Rafael asks, voice very quiet. "They were going to kill my family," the man chokes. I thought. "You thought you could live in both worlds," Rafael finishes. "You can't." I step forward before Rafael can say anything else. "Victor," I say, my voice wavers once then steadies. "You went to all this trouble for me. You sent men to my building, a sniper to the gala. You're burning warehouses like they're matchsticks. Why?" He raises a brow. "Because you have something I want." "What?" I demand. "A ledger, a notebook." His smile is small and cruel. "A brain, unfortunately inherited." "So you think killing me fixes your problems?" I say. "I think killing you takes away Costa's shield," he replies. "And it sends a message. He could have stayed smart. Instead he played house with a civilian." Behind me, Rafael goes very still. "See," Victor continues, "he's not like me, Nina. I would happily put a bullet through 1,000 strangers to stay on top. He hesitates for one girl who makes good coffee. That makes him weak." I open the notebook in my hands, flipping to the marked page. "You talk too much for a man bleeding money," I say. For a second, confusion flickers over his face. Then I start speaking numbers. "Account 7214, I call out, voice echoing. "Offshore, Cayman. Withdrawals on the 15th of every month, laundered through Romero Holdings, registered in your driver's name. Victor's smile falters. Account 9013, I go on louder. Panama, connected to Judge Herrera's nephew. Payments correspond exactly to every major case you've won in the last 5 years. Murmurs ripple through the men behind him. Some shift their grips on their guns, others stare at Victor. Enough, he snaps. I ignore him. Account 0911, I say clearly. The district attorney, 43 payments, everyone hidden inside charity donations from your recovery fund. One of the men on the catwalk actually curses under his breath. You think they don't know, Victor snarls. You think they care. I think they care when they're not getting their fair share, I say. See, that's the problem with greed, Mr. Leone. You've been skimming off your own people for years. Extra transfers. Scrap metal routes with no cargo. That money doesn't disappear, it has a pattern. I lift the notebook so everyone can see the pages, the columns, the names. A pattern your men can see now too. Eyes shift, mouths tighten. One of Victor's guards takes a small step away from him, as if something about the man at the center has changed. You think some numbers will turn them against me? Victor laughs, but there's an edge to it now. These men killed for me, bled for me. They killed, I agree, for a man they thought was untouchable. A man who could protect them from prison, from enemies, from you. But if these pages hit the news tomorrow, if every judge and cop and politician on this list starts cutting deals to save themselves, who do you think they'll offer up first? I tilt my head. You, I say, with your silver hair and your scrap metal shipments, and your habit of throwing people off roofs. Silence. One of Victor's men lowers his gun. Another glances toward the exit, calculating. You're bluffing, Victor says through his teeth. You overestimate your value, I reply. The files are already gone, copies sent. When I was in the car with Rafael, I took pictures of every page and sent them to places you can't reach. You kill me, the story still breaks. You kill him, the story still breaks. The only thing you control tonight is how you die. His face drains of color. Liar, he hisses. Maybe, I say, heart racing so hard I feel dizzy. But do you really want to bet your life that I am? He flicks a quick, sharp look at his men. They see it. For the first time, they see the possibility of their king falling. Costa, one of them says carefully, is she? Ask yourself, Rafael says, voice like ice. In all the years you've worked for him, has Victor ever taken a risk that didn't profit him first? Doubt moves through the room like a draft. Victor's jaw works. You ungrateful. He moves. It happens fast, too fast. In one smooth motion, he grabs the gun from the nearest man and swings it up, not at Rafael, but at me. I don't even have time to flinch. A shot cracks. For a heartbeat, I feel nothing. Then I'm slammed sideways, body colliding with hard concrete. The notebook skids across the floor. It takes me a second to realize I'm not on the ground alone. Rafael is on top of me, weight crushing the air from my lungs. His arm is around my head, his chest pressed to mine, his body curled around me like a shield. Smoke curls in the air, men shout, somewhere someone fires back. Rafael, I gasp, Rafael. He grunts, pushing himself up just enough that I can breathe. His eyes scan my face, wild, desperate. Are you hit? He demands. I don't think so. He exhales once, ragged, then he winces. My blood turns to ice. Rafael, I whisper, seeing the dark stain spreading across his shoulder, seeping into his shirt. You're. It's nothing, he says through clenched teeth. Vest caught most of it. He rolls off me, dragging me behind a stack of crates as more shots ring out. His men open fire, some of Victor's scrambling for cover, others turning their guns on each other in sudden, vicious confusion. The warehouse explodes into chaos. I crouch behind the crate, shaking, ears ringing. The notebook lies open a few meters away, pages fluttering in the draft, numbers exposed. Victor is on his feet near the center, using one of his own men as a shield, firing wildly toward us. Another of Rafael's guards goes down. The lieutenant in the chair topples, yelling. Stay here, Rafael orders, breath harsh. What are you going to do? I choke. Finish it. He pushes to his feet, staggering, then straightens, shoulders squared. Blood runs down his arm, dripping from his fingertips, but his gun is steady as he steps out from cover. "Victor," he shouts. The older man swings toward him, eyes blazing, teeth bared. "You always were sentimental, Costa," Victor spits. "Throwing yourself in front of a bullet for some girl, your father would laugh." Rafael's mouth twists. "My father would have shot you sooner." "Maybe," Victor shrugs behind his human shield, "but he's not here. And you're done. You think those little pictures she took will matter when you're both in the ground?" Said the man who's finally scared of cameras, Rafael says quietly. For a moment their eyes lock. Decades of dirty deals, dead friends, and cracked promises hang in the air between them. Then Victor makes a mistake. He shifts his gun half an inch toward me. The sound of Rafael's shot is flat and final. Victor jerks, surprise painted absurdly across his face. For a heartbeat he hangs there, some stubborn part of him refusing to fall. Then he crumples to the ground. Silence slams down. The echo of the gunshot fades into the rafters. Smoke drifts. Blood spreads slowly under Victor's body, dark and shiny in the harsh light. His men freeze, some drop their weapons, others back away, hands raised. The lieutenant in the chair blinks, dazed, as one of Rafael's men cuts his bonds. It's over. Just like that, the man whose name made this city tremble lies on a dirty warehouse floor like anyone else. Rafael lowers his gun, shoulders slumping all at once, as if someone cut the strings holding him up. He sways. "Rafael," I scramble from behind the crate, ignoring the shouts, the guns, the everything. "You're bleeding." He lets me catch him as his knees give a little, his good arm circling my waist, pulling me close. "I told you," he says, voice rough but wry, "anger makes you stupid." "This wasn't anger," I say, tears blurring my vision. This was. "Protection," he says, "same thing in our world." I press my hand hard against his wound. He hisses. "Don't you dare die," I choke, "not after all this." "I promised your father," he murmurs, eyes fluttering, "said I'd keep you alive even if it killed me." "You're not allowed," I say fiercely. "I haven't forgiven you yet." A weak laugh escapes him. "That's fair." His men swarm around us then, barking orders, clearing weapons, calling for the doctor. They always keep 2 cars behind. Someone tapes gauze over his shoulder. Someone else retrieves the notebook, handing it to me like it's a crown. I clutch it to my chest and look down at Rafael, this dangerous, impossible man who stepped in front of a bullet meant for me. His eyes find mine, unfocused but stubbornly awake. "Lucía," he says. "What? If we live through this," he swallows. "If those numbers do what you think they will, I'm done." "Done what?" "Done pretending this is the only way," he whispers. "We clean what we can, we burn what we can't, we walk away before it eats you too." My heart stutters. "You'd give this up?" His mouth curves, tired. "I've been looking for a reason for years. Your father gave me one, you just made it non-negotiable." I blink, tears finally spilling over. "You think it's that simple?" "Nothing's simple," he says, "but I'd rather build something with clean money and bloody hands than die on a pile of dirty cash." "I don't know how to build anything," I say honestly. He looks at me like I'm the only solid thing in the room. "You just tore down a king with a notebook and your voice," he says softly. "You'll figure it out." The paramedic arrives then, shoving me gently aside to work. They strap Rafael onto a stretcher, start an IV, talk in quick, clipped phrases. Through it all, his gaze keeps dragging back to me, like he's making sure I don't disappear. "I'll be right behind you," I tell him as they wheel him out. "You'd better," he mutters. "We have a city to ruin and rebuild." I almost smile. The story doesn't end overnight. The files go out just like we planned, well, like I improvised and Rafael trusted, not just to one newspaper but to dozens in different languages in different countries, anonymous leaks, whispered tips. Suddenly, names that once only moved in the dark start scrolling across the bottom of TV screens. The district attorney resigns for health reasons. A judge is seen leaving the country with 2 suitcases and no return ticket. A police chief is arrested by his own men on live television. Victor's empire doesn't explode, it crumbles, quietly, efficiently, under the weight of its own secrets. Rafael keeps his word. He steps back from the worst of it, sells some businesses, cleans others, hands over certain operations to people who will run them with fewer bodies on the floor or shuts them down completely. It's messy, it's ugly, it's not justice, not the way movies promise it, but it's a start. My name never appears in any paper, he makes sure of that. I start spending my days with spreadsheets instead of shot glasses, turning underground cash into something that can survive sunlight, turning shell companies into real ones with real jobs and real taxes. It's boring, exhausting, terrifying work. I have never felt more alive. At night, in the quiet of his apartment, the one that slowly, almost against my will, becomes ours, we sit with coffee and bandaged memories. I tell him about my father's jokes, his stupid songs, the way he always burned the rice. He tells me about sleeping in cars at 15, about the first time he held a gun, about the first time he didn't use one when every rule said he should. He is still dangerous, still sharp, still soft only in the places he forgets to guard, but I start to see the man underneath the title, the boy my father must have seen when he first said, "You can be more than what they made you." Weeks after the warehouse, bandage finally off his shoulder, he stands in the doorway of the bedroom, watching me fuss with the sheets like I'm wrestling a ghost. "You know," he says, voice low, "when I told you that night, you're sleeping beside me tonight, I thought you'd never speak to me again." I almost didn't, I admit. What changed? I look up at him, at the man who held me under a chandelier, who shielded me on a marble floor, who bled on dirty warehouse concrete rather than let a bullet touch me. "You did," I say quietly, "or maybe I finally saw you properly." He crosses the room in a few slow steps, stopping at the edge of the bed. For once there is no party, no guns, no audience, just us and the sound of the city far below. His hand comes up, hesitates, then cups my cheek with a gentleness that still surprises me. "I'm not a good man, Lucía," he says, "you know that better than anyone." "You're not just a bad one either," I answer. "You stood between me and a rifle before you even knew if I'd forgive you. That has to count for something." His throat works. "I don't know how to give you a normal life." "I don't want a normal life," I say. "I want one that means something, one my father wouldn't regret dying for." His eyes close briefly, like the words hit a place he doesn't let many things touch. When he opens them, they're softer than I've ever seen. "Then stay," he says simply. "Stay and help me make sure his numbers never hurt anyone like that again." I take his hand from my cheek and press it against my heart. "I'm already here," I say. He exhales, something loosening in his shoulders. Then, with the same care he had under the chandelier but none of the performance, he leans in and kisses me. No crowd, no sniper, no calculation. Just a man with too much blood on his hands, and a girl who inherited more danger than she ever asked for, trying to build a different kind of empire out of ledgers and late-night coffee. When we finally lie down, the city lights washing the ceiling in pale gold, he turns onto his side, watching me like he still can't quite believe I'm real. "You're sleeping beside me tonight," he says again, softer this time, not a command, not a strategy, a promise. I nestle closer, listening to the slow, steady beat of his heart under my ear. For once, I whisper into the dark, "I'm not afraid of what tomorrow's numbers will look like." His arm tightens around me. Outside, the city keeps breathing, wounded and waking. Inside, in the quiet space between danger and dawn, a mafia boss and an accountant sleep side by side, not because there's a gun pointed at us, but because, after everything, we both chose to stay.